I am risking my life by posting this video right now. I went undercover in a pyramid scheme that generates millions of dollars, and I'm posting my face and my name on the internet right now in the face of it. And I'm just doing this so I can hopefully help somebody and save somebody from falling for the scheme. I've got a full 1 hour presentation where they break down everything. Now, if you watch this presentation and you think this is a good idea, go ahead and sign up. I'm not telling you not to, but what I am doing is putting the information out there in the public because they've been hiding it, and you have to speak to somebody inside the program to be able to get any sort of information. If you look at it online, it's gonna leave you to so many questions. The only way you can get answers is by actually speaking to somebody or attending one of these presentations. My goal is to shed a light on this scam, and hopefully nobody falls for this scheme in 2024. I really expect this scheme to blow up, just like Amway, just like Cutco, because it's so digital. It's a digital banking scheme, and if you look at it at face value, it really does make sense. And they do promise you that you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars in this scheme. They promise you the world, but in every single pyramid scheme there has to be losers, and I don't want any of my fans and my subscribers to be one of them. So watch the video, you make the determination for yourself if it's worth it, and then leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Peace.
Problems to solve and just busy with my own stuff. But when I looked at this, I couldn't help but be interested and get involved. And it's really for two reasons. And I'm just going to tell you those two reasons, and then I'm going to turn it over to smart people. Okay. First is our economy. It, I study global economics and I teach on that. And those of you that know my background. And so the economy works like a balloon. We have roughly 330 million people in the US. And if I squeeze a balloon here, all the air bulges over here. And if I squeeze the balloon here, all the air bulges over here. It's the same amount of air in the balloon. It just keeps shifting between these two, wherever pressure is applied, right? And that's the way our economy works. It shifts between 97% of people and 3% of people. And depending on where the pressure is applied, the air moves to the other side of the balloon. And so, over the last few years, the air has been on the masses side. It's been on the right side, where most people say it's a pretty good economy. If we think about the housing market last year, for instance, you could list a house same day. Probably there was multiple list offers, 50,000 above asking price, right? So the air was on a certain side of the balloon. But now the air is shifting. The air is shifting. There was the recent survey from a global economic study said that last quarter, 21% of people believed the economy was getting better, and almost 80% believe the economy is getting worse, right? And you have to understand something. It doesn't matter today with the world that we live in. It doesn't matter today what's fact or fiction, right? Because our new currency today is perception. If you think about it, that is our currency, right? We used to go from the gold standard to other forms of hard currency to paper money to decimal points. Hey, Rick, here's 100 grand. Now you see decimal points. Like, it's not backed by anything, and then we have certain digital currencies now. But today, with the world that we live in, really the strongest, most safety currency we have is perception. So if almost 80% of people believe the economy is bad, we know that the body follows the mind, right? If we're in a scarcity thinking and we think the economy is getting bad and 80% of the country feels that way, guess what? The economy is going to get worse, because that's going to dictate our perception, our actions, how we look at things, how we assess risk. And everybody's the air shifting to where people are getting into a scarcity mindset, more of a scarcity mindset. When people go into a scarcity kind of situation, they go lean on their expenses, right? They conserve, they constrict. And so if I have a business set up over here on this side of the balloon and the air moves over here, I don't hunker down and go lean and say, I got to wait for the air to come back. I just set up something else on the other side of the balloon and I follow the air. Does that make sense? I pivot to the other side. And so right now, this type of business, I might not have said yes to this a year ago. But right now, with what's happening with this current economic climate, it's the perfect opportunity for the perfect timing, because I'm not an MLM guy. I don't do MLMs. This isn't one of them, fortunately. But I don't do like selling juice and pills and that kind of stuff. I can't do that kind of stuff. It's I can't my not knocking it. It's just not my gig, right? But everybody understands a bank card. We all have them. We all have to use something to pay our bills. We all transact, and everybody's trying to conserve. So if we have a way to double our buying power, uh, and then we're going to do it. So basically, what this amounts to, I'm going to give you the broad strokes if you don't already know, is it's not an MLM company, although there are some features to a direct market to direct marketing, but it is a license agreement to a digital software. That's what this is. It's a license agreement to a digital software. And there's a one-time investment for the license agreement of $495, right? Now, I've I don't recommend things. I very seldomly recommend things. And when I give people advice and people say, Dan, what should I do here or there? If I say this is the advice you should do, probably I'm also doing it, right? Like if I believe it's the greatest advice, I'm probably following it myself. So I wanted to get into this not to make more money, but I know a lot of people that are working on big things. However, they don't have their dime situated. Like they're working on the big stuff, but their day-to-day operations, they're spending too many hours in active hours income. Like they're working too many hours, and that's not scalable. They don't have any more time to use to barter with to scale their income, right? And so this perhaps I thought could be a good solution for people, not for generational wealth, but to make an extra 10, 20, 30 grand a month, right? That's not ever going to be generational wealth. But extra 10, 20, 30 grand a month for very little active hours income, 3, 4, 5 hours a week, maybe. If that's a real viable solution, I know a lot of people that could help and that could really impact. And that's really what I do. I'm not about ROI in terms of what's my return on investment, Rick. I'm thinking about ROI of what's my return on impact. Like that's why I get out of bed. Of like, can I find a solution that can help a lot of people get some real alleviation? And now we're getting millions of other people starting to constrict and conserve. It's a perfect timing to create a lot of wealth. Now, I'm not saying this couldn't turn into generational wealth because it gets into some pretty big money. But for the average person, an extra 10, 20 grand a month or 30, that's a lot of money. Even 10 grand a month extra, it's a lot. And it's not for what you have to do to perform at that level is not much. I started, I think it was like this Friday will be 2 weeks, so less than 2 weeks ago. My first 6 days, I qualified to what they call vice president, which is $12,500 a month recurring passive income. That's passively 12.5. Now, 12.5 to me, not a big deal. Okay. But 12.5 recurring, I only put 6 days of work in. And in those 6 days, I was in bed 3 days sicker than a dog. And 2 of the days I was traveling. Like I probably had less than 10 hours of work in this deal. Now, look, I'm not saying this is the right move for you or you should do this if you're not already. I'm just saying it was the right thing for me. And it could be a really viable solution for people that don't have a lot of money to invest. So we do a lot of investing. Sometimes the entry point is a minimum of 100,000 or even more. So getting in on a digital license agreement before the company launches, by the way, like the actual official to the public is like Saturday, right? Investment, again, could be a solution. So Rick, if you want to kind of explain, the other thing I like about it is, you have people coming in as influencers to this company like Obama and Lady Gaga and what's the big cowboy hat dude, famous country guy. There's lots of famous people coming aboard. Those people don't get involved with things that can jeopardize their reputation. They don't get involved with overnight get rich quick schemes, nor do I. Right. So if I'm willing to put my name on this, I've vetted it and I've spent a lot of time with it. So Rick, if you can kind of go through some broad strokes of how it works, and then we'll maybe open it up for questions.
All right. Hey, thanks very much, Dan. And it was great reconnecting with you after 10 years. I remember sitting in your studio there and in the panhandle of Florida, discussing, I guess it was the Trump network at the time. Yeah, my business escapades, I guess you could call them, go back 40, 50 years now. I got enough gray hair to prove it and lost enough hair to prove it also. I've worked in the network marketing field and I've worked in the traditional field. As a matter of fact, uh, as I approached my 70s, I wanted to make sure I had full control of my last business enterprise. And solar becoming so popular, I opened up a solar company here in California, very quickly brought it up to 25 million a year. Knowing I had full control, that was full control all the way up to the point where the state of California changed the rules on solar and sided with the utilities. And my solar company went from 3 sales per day to 1 sale every 3 months. And so I didn't have the control that I thought I had. And I thought maybe it was time to retire. I was 72 at the time. And I got a call from a fellow by the name of Randy Schrader, who I had worked with in the past. And I respected him, like I respect your business acumen. Randy and I worked in a company back 30 years ago. I did well, but not nearly as well. He made $30 million in a 10-year period of time. But I hadn't heard from him in 10 years, and I'm going to invite him on this call in about 10 minutes to explain some of the financial aspects that we both started looking at with this company. The name of the company is TranzactCard, and quite simply, we are a digital branch office of a bank. We have a banking partner, one of the largest banks in the world, and we issue something very simple, a debit card. I think everybody's got one of these. Here's mine. This is the one I've used for many, many years. It's a Bank of America card. It's got the Visa logo on it. It's used everywhere Visa is accepted. It's obviously got a large brick and mortar bank behind it. And as such, I can go into a gas station just about anywhere. Let's say a Chevron. I could put $70 worth of gas in my card. I swipe the card. The gas is paid for. I got my $70 worth of gas and I drive away. How many of these cards are in use? Well, there's 200 million of them in use in the United States today. They create $2 trillion worth of transactions. So if you want to be in a large pool of business, $2 trillion is probably large enough. And it's the wave of the future, obviously. Well, one of the interesting factors is when you do swipe your card at Chevron and get $70 worth of gas, Chevron did not get $70. You see, they paid the bank 1 to 3% in what's known as transaction fees. Well, that adds up to quite a large amount of money. So I ask people, do you have a debit card? And they say, yeah, and they can even show it to me. And I say, when you swipe your card, get $70 worth of gas, besides the $70 worth of gas, what does the bank give you for using their card to affect that transaction? And of course, they say, well, I get some airline miles, or I got a Discover card. They give me 1, 2, 3% cash back, depending on where I'm shopping. And I'm saying, well, there's another card out there. It's called a Transact card. That's what the green one is. It's got the Visa logo on it. It's partnered with the brick and mortar bank, and it acts exactly like the Bank of America card. The only difference is its reward is 100% dollar for dollar. In other words, when I get $70 worth of gas at the Chevron, I get $70 in what is known as Z-Bucks. That's a digital currency that is put into my office, my digital back office, that I could use to shop at the company store, which currently might have a few thousand products. At the end of the year, it'll have a few 100,000 products, and early next year, a few million products. And I use those Z-Bucks to buy down the retail price of products. I could save 20, 30, 40, 50%, or in some cases, use 100% Z-Bucks to buy a product. And so what I'm effectively doing is doubling my buying power. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of slides here that'll touch on what I said. And then go ahead, Dominique, if you could make me a presenter here. And as Randy comes on, if you would do the same thing, that would be very helpful. So here we go. Let's take a look at TranzactCard, which is basically changing the banking forever. And how are we doing that? We're doing that quite simply with a digital branch office, which I own, Dan owns, and several other own. And it's a banking platform with membership benefits for everybody, doubling your buying power for every dollar you put on your TranzactCard. Whether that is for car repairs, dinner out, groceries, it just simply doesn't matter whether it's online or offline. Think of it as your Bank of America, Citibank, Wells Fargo debit card. It acts exactly as that. So once again, if you were to have two cards, both of them have $1,000 behind it. And both of them accepted anywhere Visa, MasterCard is accepted. Both of them with a brick and mortar FDIC insured bank behind it. One of them will get you $1,000 worth of goods and services. One of them will get you $2,000 worth of goods and services. Which one do you want to use? It really is that simple. And that is our product, because as you use this, you get Z-Bucks, which is a digital currency, which you could use in our Z Club. You could shop online, you could shop through your phone, etc. Here's some examples. $100 worth of any brand name shoes, whatever they might be. You would use $25 worth of Z-Bucks and $75 in cash. Here's an electric bike, $245 off of that to use Z-Bucks that cost you nothing. Huggies diapers, $53. More than half of it paid in Z-Bucks. We even have, once a day, a flash sale, which means your cash is no good. It's 100% Z-Bucks. Here's some of the things some of our people have bought. When I say some of our people, we launched the company just this past week, but we thought we would start the company and hopefully get about 1,000 people in to sort of test the software and see how things are going before we launched it fully to the public. Well, it got a little bit out of hand. 35,000 people joined during the pre-launch, and 60,000 people got the card in additional to those 35,000. And we have a travel aspect in this also. Here's a couple who got a 4-day cruise. They're going in about a week or so to the Bahamas. They got that on a flash sale, which was 100% Z-Bucks. They didn't pay anything for it. And so Z Travel, the biggest place in Las Vegas, the Hilton, that resort is about $600 for 3 nights, less than $100 a night if you're using your Z-Bucks. There are several other aspects of banking that we have tied in here that I don't want to go into just yet, but one I will touch on, and that is Easy Power. You know, it's coming up on Christmas time. You ever go into the store and find a rack looks like this, where you got gift cards for Olive Garden, TJ Maxx, Home Depot, eBay, whatever it might be? Well, yes, on your app with our banking technology, you can buy any one of these cards at any amount, $25, $30, $50, $100. And when you buy the card through our club, you are getting a matching Z-Buck. $100 gift card to Olive Garden, you got $100 to spend elsewhere in the Z Club store. So for this type of benefit, what's the cost? $25 one time. Well, what about the monthly fee? No, there's no monthly fee. $25 one time. Now, if you wait to next year to get the card, it will be $25 each year. But that's it. And to get you started, when you get the card and you swipe it the first time, we're going to give you 500 Z-Bucks. Try out the store. So you're getting 500 to start with on your $25. So what would make this is obviously a no-brainer type of product. Would you rather get $1,000 worth of value out of your debit card that has $1,000 in it, or get $2,000 worth of value? It's that simple. If the situation is that good and the product is that good, then the question becomes, is there a business opportunity behind this? And yes, there is. As a matter of fact, it's a business opportunity today. Early next year, it will be a franchise opportunity, and every digital branch office will be a franchise with full disclosure, audited financials from the corporation, uniform offering circulars from the various states, etc. But the business part of this, a person would invest a licensing fee of $495 to get started in the business and have full access to the licensing. Now, when you swipe your card at the gas station or anywhere you swipe it, 1 to 3% is going to the bank. Our agreement with our banking partner, and by the way, we are changing from a rather small bank currently to a larger bank in December. One of the largest multi-billion-dollar international banks has requested to be our partner in this. And the agreement for a bank to be a partner with us in this program is they must give up 85% of their transaction fees that we can give to the field of digital branch offices or business opportunity individuals. And that is distributed through a multiple level of referrals, actually up to 10 levels on basis points, 5 to 10 basis points on every swipe of every card in every outlet, retail or online, goes back to us as digital branch offices. That generates a large volume of income and a large income opportunity. Now, I've got an individual on the line here. Randy, have you been able to join us yet?
Sure, Rick, I'm here.
Okay. I'm going to be introducing Randy Schrader here in a moment to go over a little bit on the business opportunity, what's available to individuals like us. As I mentioned, owning a digital branch office, one-time fee of $495. There is an ongoing monthly fee after next year of $50 a month, but that can be waived with certain production criteria. And as a result of that, you can have a percentage. I'm going to bring something up here very quickly. A percentage of every swipe of every card that comes out of your digital branch, whether it be a customer referring a customer, you swiping your own card, or introducing other people to be digital branches. But we can, up to 10 levels of referrals can be going into your pocket as part of the business opportunity. But that's the income that's coming down the road as the cards proliferate into the millions around the country and soon to be international. But for building the organization of digital branches, there are other opportunities for income also. And that's why I want to introduce Randy Schrader. Randy, as I mentioned, I met 30 years ago. We worked in a program called Rexall, the old pharmacy chain, opened up a business opportunity that we both worked in. Randy is a serial entrepreneur, I guess we could say. He's earned in excess of $1 million in every single year for the past 28 years, being involved in this company for 4.5 months. He reached the top position, and his November check can very well, after 4 months, fall very, very north of $50,000 in 1 month. And so whether it's an extra $500 that somebody needs to get started or to help them along, that could be earned on a residual basis in the first couple of days you're involved in the business. or in the first couple of months, it could be a multiple five-figure income per month. So with that, Randy, I want to turn it over to you. If you'll give us a little idea of the full potential of what's going on with the business opportunity with TranzactCard.
Hey, Rick, I'm very happy to do so. Would you make it so I can share my screen, please? There we go. So, folks, it is my pleasure to be here with each of you. I really do wish that hi, Dominique. I really do wish that I could be with you. I enjoy having conversations with people a whole lot more than I enjoy making presentations to people. We're a little bit limited here. I enjoy the uses of technology, but my great hope is that some combination of things that you see and hear and learn here will result in us meeting each other in person sometime soon. I just want to recap what are the possibilities. Rick covered it clearly. One can simply become a TranzactCard member. What does that mean? That means that I'm not opting to become a participant in the business, but isn't it logical that I'd like my buying power to go further? You know, as it works out, I've been really, really fortunate in my life. I was raised in a family with no money. I still kind of carry around the scars of being in a household with no cash. And I think that when we provide a mechanism to people, especially, it's very, very personal for me at this time of year. I know how many children there are who want Christmas gifts, and I know how many moms and dads there are who are not looking forward to Christmas with joy. They're looking forward with anxiety and with something other than joy. There's nothing fun about telling a child we can't afford that. And I heard that over and over and over in my life. I went to school when I was in third grade, and I came home and I told my mom, I said, "Mom, I want Converse sneakers. That's what the cool kids wear." And my dad, being the lovely person he was, he said, "Well, Randy, you're not a cool kid." My mom said, "Randy, we can't afford them." She said, "You know, we don't have the money." And a few days later, I came home from school and I said, "Mom, cool kids wear Levi's jeans." Thank God Dad wasn't there to comment on that. My mom said, "Randy, we can't afford that. You know it." And somehow, I don't know how or why, I made the faulty next step. The next step was our family doesn't have as much as some families. The faulty next step was our family's not as good as some other families. And you know what? I carried that around for a long time. And I believe that when we together help somebody live life with a little less financial pressure, I think I'm doing as much for them as their pastor does. I think I'm doing as much for them as their physician does. I don't think money solves all the world's problems, but it's my personal life experience that if you throw a little bit of financial scarcity on top of any other problem, it makes that problem so much more difficult to navigate. So I believe that there's an idea, a concept that is of immeasurable worth here. Why? Because in my life experience, Rick described me as a serial entrepreneur. I've been in business for a long, long time, a variety of projects. My own perception is that there are more people who are laboring under financial pressure today than any time in my adult life. And there's an easy way for you to check that out. Just drive down to the local gas station and watch the number of people who get out of their car and walk inside to buy their gas. Why are they doing that? They're doing that because if they swipe their card, that card's going to get $250 or something held aside, and they don't have $250, or they can't afford to have that amount pulled out of the account right now. When you see somebody walking inside the gas station and buying $10 worth of gas, I promise you it's not because they need $10, it's because that's what they have. A couple of days ago, we were at the company's formal lunch meeting, and just as luck would have it, I was pulling over to the hotel and I stopped to buy gasoline. And the car that pulled away from the pump in front of us had put $3 worth of gas in the tank, 0.6 of a gallon. I promise you that's not because that's how much gas they want to buy. It's because that was the sum limit of their ability. When a person becomes a TranzactCard member as a result of spending $25, as Rick said, during this pre-launch period, then one has literally a lifetime access to this simple thought. Once again, if I buy my sparkling water with any other card, I get the sparkling water. If I buy it with a TranzactCard, I get the sparkling water, and I get an offsetting balance. I can use our e-commerce store. And so what is the benefit to the person who becomes a TranzactCard member? The benefit is that each time they swipe the card, they get an equal balance they can use in the e-commerce site. Literally, they get to spend the money twice. What are we doing for this person? We are helping them live life with a little less financial pressure. I think that's a wonderful thing. If we can actually earn profits because we're helping people live life with less pressure, I think there's something fundamentally right about that. I think the laws of the universe will conspire on our behalf to make sure we have success. Rick then talked about the possibility of being involved in the business, not simply extending our buying power. You know, in America, there are 22 billionaires that I'm aware of who have decided they have too much money and they're giving it away. That means out of a population of 278 million, there are 22 who don't want any more money. What that means to me is that our candidate list is literally every person of goodwill and intent, every person over 18 years of age, who is of goodwill and intent, who wants more and is willing to do more to get more. That's my candidate list. That's who it is. When that person says, as Rick said, or as Dominique said, as some of the others of you on here have said, no, I don't just want the money I have to go further. I'd like to also make more money. And by the way, I would also like to be able to be a conduit to the card for other people that I know and care about who don't have entrepreneurial instincts, but who desperately need this. That's what happened when Rick spent $495 and licensed the technology. As soon as any of us enroll 3 people who likewise license that technology, when that happens, then that triggers the next part of the compensation plan. And I'm here going to be only very, very brief in my discussion of one concept. In our country is described, I've worked more out of the United States for the last 30 years than I have in the United States. And everywhere that I go in the world, people think of Americans as wealthy. We're described as the wealthiest nation on earth. Well, my question is, even to you, I know who the people are who invited you here. You're people of privilege. Do you feel like the wealthiest people on earth? Lots and lots of people I know don't feel that way. We live in a borrow-spend society. In America, if a person's income goes from $90,000 to $110,000, their lifestyle goes from $115,000 to $130,000. They're eligible for another credit card, and the hole just gets deeper. I've spent way more time doing business in Japan than the United States. In Japan, one's considered a fool if they spend more money than they make. In America, pretty much everybody spends more money than they make. And so what we'd like to do is break that chain. And we also know that there are lots of people who will join us today, many more who will acknowledge it, who are laboring under financial pressure, who are having a hard time just getting ends to meet. And by the way, I pay close attention now to what's going on in the banking industry. If any of you have not done so, just take a quick look and look at credit card delinquency payments at Chase and at Bank of America. Take a look at mortgage delinquency payments. It will not take very much analysis for you to determine, as I have, that we are witnessing maybe the exact moment when the biggest credit bubble in the history of our nation is bursting. And when credit bubbles burst, people get in trouble, banks fail, lots of tough things happen. We realize that. We want to help people. And so the way that our company works is the vast majority of it is playing my song. I am a capitalist to the end of the day. That's what I am. And this first little comp plan component I'm going to describe to you is socialist in nature. Therefore, at the first thought, when I heard about it, I said, no, let's not do that. And then I looked at it more carefully and I said, you're right, I'm wrong. This is something we should do. Our company, in the first month that I saw, had 264 of these Transact cards in existence. Just came back from a convention and it was announced that there are 71,000 of these things in circulation now. That's from June 15th of this year until now. And so I pose this question to you. What in America is going straight up right now? Well, interest rates, that's going straight up. What else? Inflation, that's going straight up. What else? TranzactCard, it's about the size of it. I would challenge you to tell me what else is on a meteoric tear right now. What else is going someplace that's fun to be going that direction? First month I saw the card, there was less than $50,000 in commerce being conducted on a monthly basis. In September, it was 10 million. I promise you it'll be something north of 20 million in December. I don't see any way to stop that from happening. What the company does is take 1% of all revenue conducted on the card. In fact, it's even more than that. Rick described the pre-launch activities. If one swipes the card during the first year of our business, then every time a dollar is transacted on the card, it creates not just one Z-Buck. And once again, what is a Z-Buck? It is a digital currency which may be transacted only in our closed loop ecosystem. That's an important bit of terminology because that's what makes it a non-taxable event. I mean, Dominic, if it was not in a closed loop, then whatever your tax rate is would lessen the value of the Z-Buck by that amount. So it's an important thought. Well, every time someone swipes the card, they spend $1 during this pre-launch period, 2 Z-Bucks are created. And so when in September, $10 million was swiped on the card, that means 20 million of these Z-Bucks were created. And 1% of all that 20 million goes into what's called the community bonus pool. Now, let's just imagine for a moment that this is Tom. And let's imagine that Tom is on the outside looking in. He's not involved in our business. He's on the outside looking in. If Tom steps in, then here he is. He's this little tiny speck. Tom did not create that $10 million in card swiping. He did not create that 20 million Z-Bucks. He gets to get paid for what somebody else did. That's why I describe it as a socialist idea. But it only extends to a certain level and is designed specifically to help people who are under financial pressure have a gateway to a little less financial pressure quickly. If your business looks just like this, it is you and 3 people who've licensed technology, and you have 5 TranzactCard members, then you and every other person who is likewise just this small, this entry-level threshold to our business, you get to split with other people in that same station 75% of what? $200,000, 1% of all Z-Buck creation. 2.75% of all ZBuck redemption, $150 of every $495 registration, $5 of every TCM registration. And so the upshot to it is this. As a result of having just you and 3 people in your business, because you're getting paid for what somebody else did, that is on purpose, is to give you profitability, is to make this worth more of your time, $106,000 a year, as a result of something that very, very small, very hard to understand, hard to quantify how that could be. I promise you it's sustainable. I promise you I don't understand how every single basis point works in this company. And not only is it sustainable, but it's sustainable in a way that benefits literally every person who's participating in the project. As our business grows, we become eligible for smaller portions, but bigger dollars. Why? Well, because fewer people will do this. Fewer people will hit the next rank. Rick Walsh is now a vice president. That qualifies for him for up to $12,500 per month out of that bonus pool. That's the first thing. In order of magnitude, it's not the most important, but in terms of creating near-term profitability, it is. What happens next? Imagine for a moment that Rick got involved in this business and he enrolled 3 people. Why did he want to enroll 3 people? He wanted to enroll 3 people because he wanted to get paid for what somebody else did. That's why he did it. His big purposes were much greater than that, but immediately that was the target. Now, don't you suppose that without me even coaching these people, they would have that same target? Wouldn't they want to do the same thing? Indeed, they would. And so you see, every time one of these people enters our business, it's like we've set in motion a perpetual motion machine. Each one who enters our group of leadership, they all want 3. We don't have to tell them they should want 3. They all want 3. And you know what? Every time one of them accomplishes that, they get their 3, so they qualify for this first bite of the apple. You know what else happens? You get paid $50, for instance. And I remember when I was first told that, I kind of thought, well, so what? That's no money. I'm showing you now. And by the way, this could be viewed, and I would understand that. Someone would say, Randy, that is so incredibly tacky. Showing people what you earn. The fact is this: way too many things are said in life and in business that are not true. Way too many things are said that are exaggerated. I do not do that. If I ever say a single thing, if I mention a figure, you could say, Randy, would you mind documenting that for me? And I would do it in a heartbeat. The truth is the truth, and it's good enough. In this case, it's unbelievably attractive. So that particular compensation plan component, that $50 per individual, that gets paid out every week. And so here you can see that just a couple of days ago, on the 11th of this month, I cashed out the prior week, and I earned $7,400 on just those $50 manager grants. We could log right now into my wife's account, and you would see that she earned $7,000. We earned $14,400 last week in this company. How did that happen? Take that $14,000, divide it by 50. That's the number of people who last week accomplished the task of enrolling the third one of those people such that they became bonus pool qualified. That's really important to point this out. These income figures I'm citing, what did I get paid when Rick enrolled? 0. But when Rick enrolled his third, so he became profitable, that's when I got paid. What did I get paid when Dominique enrolled? 0. But when Dominique became a manager, she enrolled 3, so she became eligible to be profitable. Then I got paid. And so you can look at the compensation plan, you can look at the behaviors the comp plan provokes, and then determine what will the ultimate outcome be. If the comp plan is causing a leader to provoke others to spend money, then there'll be a certain outcome. If the comp plan says it doesn't matter what somebody else spends, the only way you're making a nickel is if they're profitable, that will create a very different set of behaviors. And I will tell you, if there's a single thing that I probably know as well as anybody on this planet, I hate to say it, sounds arrogant, I probably know and understand network marketing compensation. And I heard Rick say this is a business opportunity. That's true. Operating today as a network marketing company, transitioning to a franchise. Very important for a variety of reasons. Well, I've been among the people who has been most dramatically benefited by a misunderstood business model, direct selling or network marketing. There are lots of people who just decided I'm never going to do it, no matter what. But I've never heard somebody say, "Oh my gosh, Randy, no, let's not go to that Subway. That's one of those franchise shops. Let's get our sandwich someplace else." So you see not just the quantity, but the quality of eyes that will be on this program will be dramatically different as a result of the very, very sound thinking to convert to a franchise. The offering circular will be listed in your back office very, very shortly. Well, what happens next? What I've shown you up until now is still just the runway. And if any of you happen to be a pilot, it's the runway, and you're still not past the runway end markers. I mean, it is just beginning. These $50 fees that I just showed you, they get paid when an individual accomplishes something. But that only happens once. And so last week we saw that in my account it was $7,400. Well, if next week more people accomplish this than last week, then this number will be more. If next week fewer people accomplish that, then this number will be less. So it's great that it's transaction based. It's not reoccurring. It's not residual. It's okay. Not great. This next part is great. Every time a person joins your business, a block of volume, a leadership block, you become eligible on an ongoing reoccurring basis to be paid between $2.50 and $10 per account, depending upon your rank. My rank qualifies me for this. Many years ago, when I was trying to understand why it was that no matter how I worked, that it always seemed like I didn't accumulate any money. And along the way, I was asked, or I met a leader, and I asked him what I needed to do differently so that I could win this race that I was constantly losing. And he asked me a simple question. He said, Randy, on whose efforts do you get paid? And I said, well, just mine. That's the first problem, Randy. There's only one of you. And you will live a life of financial scarcity unless you find a way to get compensated for what many people do. And so once again, I like documentation. Just the truth is the truth. When it's attractive, when it's not. And so here you see, I got involved with this company on the 15th of June this year. Today in my group, I have 3,324 people. That's what you see over here. It says organization DBOs, 3,324. That's in addition to multiples of that are TranzactCard members. And so I just illustrated for you that an ongoing month after month after month basis, not just one time. And Dominique, what would you rather have? $50 once or $10 month after month after month after month after month after month after month? Real easy choice, right? But here's the great news. We're not going to make you choose. You get both. You get the $50 when it happens, and you get the other piece based upon your rank on a residual basis. And so I just showed you guys the number. I have 3,324 people. I qualify for $10 per account. It's $33,000 a month. The other number that I showed you a moment ago, that was the weekly figure. Last week, Samantha and I in combination earned $15,000. That's per week. Samantha's account looks about like mine. She doesn't qualify for $10 account. She qualifies for $5, but that's another $15,000 a month. I mean, before you know it, before you even realize it, it starts adding up to quite a bit of money. And it's quite a bit of money that is being generated. How and why? It's being generated simply because we're helping other people expand their buying power. It really is the most wonderful concept and thought that I've ever seen. And all that I've written, all that I've described up until this moment in time was simply to help to get us to the point where we could begin earning the real money. What is the real money? The real money is earned when instead of enrolling a person and getting paid because of that behavior, helping someone succeed and getting paid as a result of that behavior, those are fine things. But would it not be a superior thing to get paid as a result of the way people live? I mean, Dominic, if I'm getting paid because I'm convincing you to buy something, that's totally different than getting paid because I'm helping you buy what you want to buy, but spending less money doing it. Folks, if I could just snap my fingers and get out of my head what's there to yours, if I could snap it again and get out of my heart what's there to yours, this concept is fundamentally right, and it's right for the time. It's fundamentally right, and it's right for the time. The single biggest contributor to the United States economy is the real estate market. We have had a 500 basis point increase in interest rates in the last 2 years. The single biggest contributor to our economy is absolutely on the rocks. People that made $250,000 as real estate agents 2 years ago made $25,000 last year, and next year's going to be worse, not better. Credit bubble is going to burst, and you know who else is taken down? All the mortgage brokers, all the appraisers, all the people who stage homes. And you know what? When those people stop earning money, the biggest contributor to our entire economy, that means that no matter if you think you're not involved in the real estate business, I promise you, when interest rates go up 500 basis points in 7 or 8 months or in 2 years, you're in the real estate business, because the people who are in the real estate business don't have any cash to buy whatever you sell. They don't have any money to rent the properties that you would like to rent. Just the truth. And so we are, in my view, I see it this simply. I feel like I'm throwing a lifeline to a drowning population, and I can think of absolutely nothing that would be better. How to actually cause a mom or a dad to be able to acquire what they want to acquire instead of what they can afford to acquire. That gives me all kinds of warm and fuzzies. Rick, I guess the last thing I would say to all of you is that I have great respect and admiration for the leadership of your organization. It was my pleasure to meet some of you last week. I look forward to meeting the rest. Most important thing by far that I have to offer to any of you is my time. It's the only thing in my life that is scarce. I have abundance of everything else. The time is the one thing that's scarce. I refuse to spend it. I will invest it wisely, however, and I'd love to invest it with you. Rick, I'll get back to you.
Hey, Randy, thank you. Thank you so much. You know, Randy showed you everything that is being built to get you up to, let me see here. What am I doing?
Is that your pony, Rick?
Actually, that is my wife's horse. It is.
Very nice.
Okay, let me, how do I get this thing to go full screen?
We can see it.
Okay. Yeah, even at partial screen. We have what's known as an influencer program. There are a lot of people out there who would like to extend their brand, and having their brand on a debit card is one very good way of doing that. And so the influencer program for those who have those very large followings to on Instagram or social media or whatever, if they can have a card white labeled in their name and getting so many basis points every time that card is swiped. And that name that Dan was trying to think of was Garth Brooks. Here's Garth Brooks' card down here. These are the people that have contracted to do this: LeBron James, Make-A-Wish Foundation, Donald Trump as part of his campaign, Barack Obama, and the list goes on and on and on. And one of the things to remember, that every time one of these cards is swiped, as Donald Trump has ordered millions of cards already, every time it's swiped, 1% of that is going into our bonus pool, being shared equally by people who sponsored as little as 3 people into the business, getting paid for not only what you did, but what happened before you and what happened after you and beside you. And so we're going to open this up for questions. And Dan, if you're still on and want to make any comments, please do.
I'll let Dom field the questions. I just wanted to say a couple of quick things, because I know Randy threw out a lot of numbers and there's a lot to think about. But just to simplify things, here's my interest in this card. Number one, and by the way, you don't get people as successful as Randy Schroeder and Rick Walsh. These are the top tier people of the company. I mean, Randy hit the very, very top. And he's telling us, look, for your guys' group, I will make myself available. I'll train. I'll be with you. I mean, that just doesn't happen in these normal big, where you get the head honcho saying those things. But he loves our group. He loves our ethics and values and what we stand for as a group. And also a lot of success, especially my own success, it has to do with timing. You know, we just got into a partnership deal with Mark Cuban about 6 or 8 weeks ago. And that was a timing deal. It was just kind of one of those things. You just get lucky sometimes, right? And usually the entry to play is pretty high. Okay. But the timing on this deal, it couldn't be better. I mean, you are getting in right before, like it's early on this. And the other thing is my mother, you know, she's been on a fixed income forever, and she doesn't look, she's very proud. She's a you know, from the old school, and she doesn't want to take help. So I have to find very creative ways to kind of help her, right? And she's very prideful, and oh no, you have your own family, don't worry about me. An extra $500, you sign up 3 people, right? You get $500. An extra $500 a month for somebody like that's on a fixed income, it's a big difference. Or you think about an extra $1,500 a month, which could be done literally in a couple of days or weeks. Extra $1,500 for someone on a fixed income, huge, right? I think about my 16-year-old. He needs to learn good money management habits. I'm not going to just give him my credit card, but I can put one of these cards in his hands, right? Help him get 3 people. He's got $500 a month coming in that he can start learning good financial habits, right? And building his own way. Now, again, the opportunity lends itself to, you know, make an extra 10, 12,000 a month very quickly in a matter of weeks or months, have that recurring passive revenue. That's certainly available, and something that I did, like I said, in the first 6 days. So to simplify things, we're here to help you. We want to provide a solution. People that are associated with this group, we're going to get with people like Randy. We're going to create a very simple, like 5 or 6 step program. It's like, look, just go do this. Should take you a couple weeks. When you're done with that, then we're going to help you do this. We're going to help you do that. And our goal is to get everybody to qualify as vice presidents, which is up to $12,500 a month coming in. An extra 12.5. It's not generational wealth, but it's significant to somebody's life. Extra $12,500 a month. And that's our minimum goal for everybody that's joining. We want to get them at least there, because once we get that achievement, are you going to stop? I mean, once we have that, then people that are coming in under you saying, well, I'm not sure, Harish, if this is legit. You're like, look, just like Randy did. Well, let me show you the reality, because people talk in falsehoods, but let me show you what's real. And that's what we want to do for you. We want to simplify it. We're going to help you do it. Again, we're not promoting that you should do this or not do it. I'm just saying this is some of the things that I do. When I see that I can get a license agreement to a company like this, where I can be a franchise owner for less than $500 to basically a digital bank or a real brick and mortar bank, I'm going to do it because I understand how banks work. I'm partners in an investment bank, and the model of banks work. And if I can partner in that type of mechanism, I'm all in, especially for the entry level price. So if you have questions, I'll let Dominique kind of fill those. But guys, you got to ask yourself two questions. Number one, is $500 going to kill you in terms of a risk? And number two, do you have the ability, do you feel like that you could potentially get 3 people? Because if so, that ROI is pretty big time. To get $500 in recurring revenue, you'd have to invest about $75,000 on a 7 to 8% investment return with no risk. So invest 80 grand, let's say, to get $500 in passive income, right? 12,500, which I did in about 6 days, you'd have to invest like 1.6 million at say 7-8% interest rate with no risk to be able to get 12.5%, 12.5 monthly. I didn't have to invest those things. I just had to put a little bit of time in. So I think the risk reward on this is great. I always take my own advice. I just wanted to share the opportunity with some. And Dominique will let you fill any questions the group may have.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Randy, if you have anything you want to add, feel free to cut me off.
I've just seen a couple of questions here, and so let me answer them. Can I? First, the prevailing question, of course, always is, I saw one person said, when will I receive my TranzactCard? So here's a scoop, folks. I'm going to share with you some information. I have to be very careful. I'm on an NDA, and I'm not able to share with you everything that I would like to share. People would all love to know who the bank is, and I'll explain to you why the company is not disclosed. It is because our company is a startup venture. We have 71,000 new highly eager members. There's a great deal of concern on the part of the company that if they were to disclose the name of the bank today, that 70 of those 71,000 would call the bank and say, hey, are you really in business with TranzactCard? And that would wind up being not a negative, not a positive for our company. We want to have the card introduced at the time we introduce the bank so that you then don't feel the need to call customer service. Not suggesting that any of you would, but I know that many people do. Okay, so here, what I'm sharing with you, not going to disclose the name of the bank, but I'm going to disclose the nature of the bank. And so here we're looking at a balance sheet. This is a $7.4 billion bank. I'm going to share a couple of more screens here. This is a first-class financial institution. This is not a second-class bank. This is not a mid-tier bank. This is a wonderful bank. Now, it would still be considered or construed as a community bank. It's not a money center bank. This is a brick and mortar bank with not dozens, but hundreds of branches across the Northeast corridor. This is a bank that has been contracted. There is no underwriting yet to be done. The approvals process are all finished. What is happening now is simply the integration into our system. It is not a simple matter to just say, here's a debit card. The debit card has to do what? It has to create Z-Bucks. It has to be tied into our system. I'm showing you the next screenshot. Here, what we said, that's the same screenshot I was just showing you. Give me a second. I'll go to the second one. Wait a minute. Show you another one. This was important for me. I went to the company yesterday and I requested that they allow me to sign an NDA so that I could have a little more visibility and be able to answer questions a little more directly. And so this particular one was extremely important to me. Some of you may have observed that Bank of America a couple of days ago announced that they have $137 billion in unrealized losses in their bond portfolio. That's what happens when what? That's what happens when interest rates go up 500 basis points that we've been talking about. If they have $137 billion deficit, unrealized loss in their bond portfolio, that directly reduces their tier one capital. When a bank has tier one capital, it falls beneath a certain level, they can no longer lend, and the bank is essentially out of business. So this is one of the important things that I want to see. We look down here towards the bottom left corner. What do we see? Tier one leveraged capital. If the bank has more than 5%, that equals well capitalized. This bank has 7.13% of tier one capital, tier one leverage capital. Common equity, tier one capital, anything over 6.5% is well capitalized, nearly double, 11.04%. This is last quarter's financial statement. Just realize the reason this was important to me is because I just read that Bank of America has $137 billion in unrealized losses. Wells has $42 billion in unrealized losses. Smaller banks, I was concerned. What if we're getting in business with banks that already have tier one capital strains? And I was very, very relieved and happy to see this. I'll show you one more screenshot and we'll leave this one. Now, by the way, I don't even like the word take. We can realize whatever we'd like to realize from this opportunity. And so I participate in the entire compensation plan and intend to continue doing so. In addition to participating in the entire compensation plan, I contemplate and I consider what are the most important things that I could do for this company right now. Well, the things that I can do is I can broker or bring to the Z Club increasing offerings. And so I happen to be very close friends with one of the largest toy manufacturers in the world. And today we had a conference call with Peter Rancy, and we're addressing the integration of an incredible product line into the Z Club. I have another friend that owns 2 community banks in Southern California. Today we started the process of introducing that as yet another of our banks. I've introduced one of the largest hip hop stars in the world to our company with the idea of private labeling. Private labeling a card for his constituents, but also doing what? But bringing his entire record label into our Z Club. So it can be this simple. We can just say, my gosh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and introduce 3 people, and I'm going to make $500 a month. It can be that simple. It can be simpler still. I'm going to spend $25 and I'm going to swipe the card. I'm going to double my buying power. Or it can be, I'm going to access every single part of this compensation plan. And I'm not just going to access the compensation plan. I am going to make the opportunity better by helping it get more banks, by helping it bring more to the Z Club. You can take as much, you can contribute as much as you want. And as a result of contributing as much as you want, your earnings will wind up having exactly 0 limitation. Let your mind run wild here, folks. I brought an influencer to the company who has 80 million Instagram followers. His typical uptick is 5%. That means that he and we believe there'll be 4 million cards issued to his constituents. And you know what? Every single time they swipe that card, the influencer will make a lot of money. I'll make a little. You don't have to make very much if 4 million people are buying gas, they're buying groceries, and they're buying diapers. This is a magic moment, folks. There are 2 reasons that one may opt not to do this. The one is they don't understand it. Just don't understand it. And so, by the way, if you don't understand, please let Dominique know so that she can connect you with me so that I can make sure you understand. Okay? And if the other reason would be if you just don't respect the person who introduced you. I know the person who introduced you, so that's not possible. And so really all we have to do is make sure that we understand. If we understand, we become business partners. So Dominique, I'll turn it back over to you. Thanks.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Randy. We had a quick question just at the end here. Alicia, you asked, it was mentioned a few times that a DBO should sign up 3 DBOs and 5 TranzactCards. Are both needed for getting into the bonus pool?
So easy question here, easy answer. In order to be commission qualified, one must have 3 TCMs. That is not the same as being bonus pool qualified. That community bonus pool we talked about, where you are getting, I know this is new to you, that is a tremendous overpayment, paying $6,000 per year for that tiny amount of volume brought to the company. It is a tremendous overpayment. And so there have to be a few filters that go in front of them. And the filters are, one must be commission qualified to earn anything in the comp plan or most of the comp plan components. But to be bonus pool qualified, it's slightly more. So one must be a digital branch office, enroll 3 digital branch offices who license technology, and have 5 TCMs. That is what gets you into the first slice of that bonus pool pie. Each next slice takes a little bit more. To be in the senior manager slice of that pie, it takes 10 TCMs. To be the vice president, it takes 20. Senior vice president, 30. President, where I live, that requires 50. As part of our, all of you, any of you, have the opportunity today to still become one of our what's called founders based on just a very, very, very limited amount of productivity between now and the end of the year. And when you're in the founders, something kind of magical happens. Every time you enroll a TCM, you'll be given a matching TCM. And somebody asked me the other day how confident I am that the company has the number of unaligned, unaffiliated TCMs to fuel the match program. Everybody wants a card. Our problem is not that we don't have enough TCMs to provide the DBOs. Our problem is we don't have enough DBOs to take the TCMs. That's truth.
Great. Okay. All right, guys, we're just at the top of the hour. I know we've got a few more questions to answer here. I will do my best to get you those answers in our little WhatsApp group, but we're going to come back here next week. So if you have people who are interested, who have questions, I know there's some complicated. Oh, Rick, please.
Yeah, I have something. In fact, I'll screen share, hopefully, this real quick. We're going to be doing this meeting, I understand, once a week. Is that correct, Demony?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. In your back office, there is an area called an area of resources that will show you where we are doing webinars or Zoom meetings every single day. Wednesday is the big one. Copy down this link, TranzactCard.live. Just that, TranzactCard.live. And tomorrow, Wednesday, at noon Eastern Time, we're doing a live webinar that explains this whole program. You can invite as many people as you want to view it. You know, people that you would like to expose this opportunity to. And then at 1 o'clock, it's being done again by a different leader. And then 2 o'clock, again by a different leader. And then 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 o'clock. You could have people come on at noon. They like what they see. Invite people on for 1 o'clock. They like what they see. Invite people on for 2 o'clock, etc. Now, we do this, we do them 9 different ones on Wednesday, and the other days we do 1. The schedule for this is under your resources in your back office. Look under Zoom meetings. But for right now, since Wednesday's our next one, there will be 9 starting at 12 noon Eastern Time tomorrow, TranzactCard.live, and it'll be every hour on the hour with a different leader each time. So with that, back to you, Dominic.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Licia has been kind enough to help me to organize a few things in the WhatsApp group. So we've got a Google Doc with some useful information. And then these calls. So this Zoom is going to be for you to bring anybody to who's like, no, thanks, I'm not into MLM. And you're like, it's not an MLM. And they're like, how? And you're like, I know I heard it, but I can't exactly remember because it's subtle, but it's distinct and it's a big difference. This is a great chance to bring people to this call, and we'll give you this overview just like we've done. We've had Randy come on. Rick knows a huge amount about this. And so we'll answer their questions here. You don't need to sell this. First of all, it's such a no-brainer and such a low investment, like you don't need to sell it anyway. But if you have people, like I have a couple family members who are just the suspicious type, and so I'm bringing them in, this is the place for that. Once you come here, if you have further follow-up questions we're not able to make, those corporate calls are the place to be. It's the ones I've been on have been like the head founding team. They speak really well. They know the product obviously inside and out. And so that's the place to go for any follow-up info. If you have specific questions, you can put them in the WhatsApp. Usually I can answer them. I can't always. Corporate call is definitely the place to go. But I'll do my best. And I've got Rick backing me up, which is lovely. As much as you can, guys, bring people in, of course, under your links. We're gathering people under Dan and Chase because we're going to be creating some specific training. So Dan has actually created network marketing structures in the past, like algorithms. And if you guys know him, he's a math guy. And so he knows the best way to maximize your profit with the least amount of effort. So he's going to be teaching you guys how to do that. And that's something that we're just privy to here on this call. So that's a big deal. So, by all means, come, bring people. We'll be here. Now this is a Tuesday because we're a little off because of, Thanksgiving, but from here on out, it'll be Mondays at 5 p.m. Central Time. We'll have this Zoom. And then if you guys are already signed up as a DBO, go into that resource section under Zoom, and all the corporate calls are the place to go. Okay. I think that should do it. Oh, Sal, right now, can no one come in from England? Right now, you do need to have a US social security number to sign up as a DBO. I believe the same thing is true for a TCM. Is that right, Rick?
Say that again, Dominique.
US is you have to have a US address and or social security
Yes.
for TCM as well as DBO.
That is my understanding at this time.
Okay, but what we've heard is that it's going international very soon. So tell your friends that it will be coming shortly. I think in the next year we'll get Canada and Mexico, I'm sure, coming in shortly. Right now it is US only, so you have to have that US address. Mind you, if they live abroad but they have a business based in the US, you can still use that with your EIN number to sign up. So you just need to have a business based here or a person who has a social here. Okay. Okay, killer. Woo, that was a lot. Thank you so much for your time, Rick. We sure appreciate you. We'll see everybody else in the WhatsApp group. Feel free to add people to the WhatsApp group, guys. I made it so that you can just add people. And if you have questions, share there, and we'll get everybody going.
Sounds good. Thanks so much.
So much, Rick. We really appreciate your time.
All righty. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you there.
Thank you.